Greetings, Warlords. Welcome to Saga Thursday, the show all about the skirmish miniatures game from Studio Tomahawk. I'm your host, Rodge, joined by Monty. Once again, Monty, how the heck are ya?
I'm doing very well, Rodge. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm good. We're here early today. We called an emergency session of the Saga Thursday crew here. Big news, Age of Alexander is coming out, Monty. It's confirmed.
Yes.
It's coming out. I've been told it's already at the printers and will be out in October.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's cool. So this one's coming out early, really early if you're a patron, but it's still coming out early if you're a regular listener. So we're going to have some fun today. We're mainly just going to talk about Age of Alexander. We do have a little bit of Fimbulwinter stuff to chat about. And after that, it's actually paint contest time, Monty. It's the fall paint contest. And so we'll have the rules and stuff for that after we chat about Alexander. But let's jump into this. So Fimbulwinter, February 18th, 19th, 2023. Monty, I've got 12 signups so far.
Oh, nice.
Of these signups, 9 are people who have never come to any of my tournaments so far. So the regular crew hasn't really signed up yet. So
right.
I'm super stoked about that. That's perfect. That's what I was hoping for. And yeah, so this is looking to be the biggest one yet. It sounds like there could be some travelers as well. So,
yes, for sure. There's going to be a big Twin Cities contingent.
Yeah, so that's going to be a good time. So please consider if you haven't. And rules for that are on the Saga Thursday Discord. Look in the tournament packets. You'll find them there. We do got a little housekeeping here, Monty, for the Battle of Heroes. So every episode here, I'm eliminating a possible option from the Battle of Heroes in Scenario 2. So this month, if you're playing along at home, I'm eliminating Until Dusk. It's a game length card. And this one's being eliminated because it's also one of those where the first player's opponent begins the game. So
yes.
I
know that pain.
I don't like that. The first player should begin the game if he's the first player.
Exactly.
This is ridiculous. So that one's gone. We've got 5 more to go. And I do have a little addendum on Wrath of the Warlords. So this is going to be scenario 4.
Okay.
So this one, you do have a random roll-off to determine who sets up terrain before the bidding starts. And you roll a d6. So the way it's going to work is whoever rolls highest will set down the first piece of terrain. They don't get to decide who goes first. It's just the luck of the draw. And I'm going to clarify, at the end of the game, you got to get out of your deployment area. So I'm just going to clarify that during the game, you cannot pre-measure this. So no one is, in round 4, if you need to see if you're out of your deployment zone, you're going to have to eyeball it. We're not going to set out the giant tape measure diagonal going across the table in the middle of the game to, measure that stuff. So
got it.
You're going to have to remember where you deployed your models and kind of figure it out from there. So
be aggressive.
And that will be updated in the scenario prior to the event. But the Battle of Heroes stuff, you just have to write it down. But all right, let's jump in to Age of Alexander here. Monty, first thoughts, first impressions?
So I love this. I love this history, and so reading the book, looking at the boards, it's another home run. If you like this space, you will be thrilled with what they've got on tap for you.
Yeah, so it's definitely a continuation of what was established with Age of Hannibal. So we're moving over to the eastern half of the Mediterranean. Are we going back in time? I think this is slightly before or concurrent with Hannibal. So, Alexander was before Hannibal, and some of the Persian, those were before Hannibal.
Yep.
But, the successor states, those were definitely at the same time. It's definitely the crunchiest saga book yet. It's complicated. Some of the complications that, Hannibal, you have more troop choices, more decisions to make when building your army. So this is definitely the case here. It's Hannibal on steroids, I would say. We do have more troop types, and it's interesting. Once you pick your faction, you sit down, you'll figure it out, but it's going to be much more difficult as a Saga veteran to figure out kind of the lay of the land of the other factions, because there's so many different variants you could go up against. So as a veteran Saga player, this one's going to take a lot longer to figure out, I think, than maybe some of the other books. I don't know. Thoughts on that, Monty?
Yeah, so very good point. That is exactly it. In some of these factions, it's kind of like we always love, like, when you paint one faction and you can leverage it. Well, in some of these factions, I'm thinking successors, you paint one successor's army and it has 3 flavors you can play, right? That's amazing.
Yes, and there's tons of troop type, compared to like Age of Vikings or something, the list, Vikings is, 4 lines on the chart, where this is like, 16 lines of different troops and options, and there's little mini restrictions and stuff like that. So this is awesome. So the factions are the Greek cities, Persians, Thracians, Macedonians, or Macedonians. I'm sure somebody will come in and say it should be one or the other. Indians and successor states. So we've kind of split this up. This was Monty's idea. We did this before, and that was a good idea. So Monty, you're gonna talk about the Persians, the Thracians, and the Indians. So they're kind of the non-phalanx armies, and then I'm gonna do the Greeks, Macedonians, and successors. So there are new equipment options. Maybe we can talk about those in the context of the armies. Elephants are back. The heavy chariots used by Carthaginians are back. They're being used by Indians. We've got Scyth chariots, which are used by the Persians, which are like the throwaway suicide ones. We have light chariots for the Indians, and these are kind of shooter chariots. Cataphracts are back. Were cataphracts in the last one? I think they were.
Oh my gosh! Oof! It's early.
Actually, I don't think they will.
They may not have been. I think they. Well, dang it.
Sarissas. We got phalanx. So phalanx was a special kind of general rule here, I believe. Before it was just something to do with the Greek, blurb in the Greek section of Age of Hannibal. But there's no special stats or anything. It's just, phalanx for battle board abilities. If it doesn't generate Saga dice, it's no longer a phalanx. So warriors down to 3 or less. I think there is a levy phalanx in here, if I recall correctly. And then if you're in a building, uneven terrain or dangerous terrain, you don't get the phalanx stuff. So we got camels. Monty, sorely missed.
Oh, yeah. Love the camels.
There's a camel
Never have enough.
somewhere in here. There's a somewhere in here. Sarissas, same as Hannibal, I believe. So let's jump in. We're going to talk about each faction, kind of the army construction mechanics loosely. We're not going to dive in. You're still going to have to buy the book here, but so we're getting into that, and then we'll talk maybe about the battle board kind of play style, defensive, offensive, what it brings, and then talk about maybe one specific favorite little ability that jumped out to you. So Monty, why don't we just go in order? here. Who is first up? Oh, it's the Greek city-states, so I'll be up here for the first one here, Monty. Okay, so the Greek cities, they use phalanxes, obviously, and their kind of special jam is this line of battle special rule. So the line of battle is a group of your units. They have to be phalanxes. I'm kind of glossing over this, so if you get the book and it's slightly off, apologies, but they can't be more than very short away from each other. So you can create a chain of 3 or 4 units. It could be 2 units, and you get bonus units in this, So the number of units in this line of battle can affect Saga abilities. So you can, if you have bigger units of Hearthguard or warriors, it's kind of artificially inflates the size. So if you have 2 really big units in a line of battle, it counts as 4 instead of 2. You can have multiple lines of battle. So you could have 2 units close to each other on one side, 3 close to each other on the other side with a gap in between. And so you could have 2 lines of battle. And so some of these Saga abilities will activate a line of battle. So you would pick one or the other. Kind of interesting. The withdraw and charge rules will become very important. You can knock units out of the line of battle, as a strategy, and you're kind of not wanting that to happen as the Greek player. So just to give you an example of the line of battle importance, where is it here? So instead of the activation pool ability in the upper right-hand corner, they have form line for the Greek city-states. It says you can use any die for this. Activate all or some units in a line of battle to move short. Up to one of these activations can be a charge instead of a move. So you're slower. You're probably going to want to use the form line ability to be your main kind of activation ability, because if you move one unit at a time, you're going to fall out of the line of battle. You're risking that. So overall, you're a little slower, but you're going to get to move all your units. What do you think of this, Monty?
I think if you're a big fan of the Spartans, I think if you're a big fan of the Thebans and all of that history, you're going to jump in with 2 feet. And if you're not a big fan, maybe by playing them you will, because I know, I never even knew anything about the Dark Ages as an American until I started playing Saga. So I think it's interesting. In my mind, there's so much detail in this book. I'm a little, you know what I mean? It's so new. I haven't figured out the puzzle pieces. Yeah. So I'm very curious to see how the Greek city-states play. Add what you just talked about. Now add the battle board. Now add the specific faction. For example, the Spartans. And it's a wild card. I have no idea how that's going to work, but I want to see it.
Yeah. So overall, the Greeks, they use the phalanx. They may have invented the phalanx. I think that's where the word comes from. So they're going to be slower. They're not as dynamic as some of these other factions here, but I think they're going to do what they do very, very, very well. And so I haven't even touched on that yet, but there are 4 versions of the Greeks, which each has different equipment options and a different special rule. So you've got the Athenians, and they all their lines of battle count as 1 larger than a normal. That's their special rule, and they have their own equipment. The Spartans, the Lacedaemonians, as they're properly titled here. Oh boy, Monty, this is going to be
so much.
So the Spartans never withdraw from melee when they are the defenders. So they can charge and bounce. That's acceptable Spartan law, but they never withdraw. If they should withdraw, instead they take a fatigue after the melee. And the opponent withdraws instead, and they have to take a fatigue.
Wow.
So,
Oh, I kind of like that.
yeah, that's gonna. Oof.
Oh,
Those are going
right.
to wear down real quick. Anglo-Danes of the ancient world.
Yep.
So some nasty boys. The Thebans. Now, this one I had to giggle when I laughed. So I think Thebes was kind of boss of the Greek world for a while. They invented stacking their guys deeper and using longer spears. And I think Philip of Macedon, he one-upped them once he saw what they were doing. But they can take this oblique phalanx with the warriors, and it can contain up to 18 models instead of 12. And if it's more than 12 guys, it generates 2 Saga dice, and then it counts as 3 units in the line of battle. So, yeah. Monty, how would you like to charge a unit of 18 warriors? How's that going to...
I'm going to look around and try to find the soft underbelly of that. I don't know what it would be.
How's that working for you?
Yeah.
So, I guess the dice do cap out at 16 for attacks, but some of this you will want to close ranks. So, I mean, you could easily take the 18. And then the Thessalians. So these are the horsemen of the Greek world. And so your cav can count as phalanxes, they do count as phalanxes, and they can count as being in the line of battle.
Wow.
So I guess you would have potentially some speed utility here. Now, the Greek battle board it's defensive. It's a defensive board. There's an unheard of 3 orders reaction abilities. So a third of your board is essentially just beefing yourself up for the opponent's turn. A lot of this stuff, it depends on the line of battle. So my example here for an ability that's could be juicy here. Let's do Impassable Wall here. This is two uncommons, so it's got to be good. A melee ability, use your phalanx. For each of up to 4 units in your line of battle, you can either inflict an automatic hit on the enemy or cancel a casualty you suffered after rolling your defense dice. So you've got these defensive abilities you're going to be using anyways, with the orders reaction kind of benefiting your entire army. And then on top of it, when they do charge in, you can throw up your Impassable Wall. After they've made it through everything, you can cancel up to 4. It's not, you're easily going to get 4 units in the line of battle. So you just cancel 4 hits. I mean, that's huge.
That's all.
So, this is going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Fun board if you're a defensive player. The Scots.
Oh, yeah.
The Scots will be, there is some fatigue stuff here as well. So kind of in between Anglo-Danes, Scots. They're a little slower. They're not using sarissas. These are just the, kind of regular hand weapon shield guys. So, pretty easy to build, I would say. This has got to be a 1 Victrix box, and you're good to go. You're going to have a nasty force. As far as the visual representation of Spartans, Athenians, Thebans, do you know offhand, Monty, if there'd be any stylistic differences, really, between?
I think until you get to the Thessalonians being mounted, I think the rest of it, there's kind of a sameness to the look, with the exception of the lambda on the Spartan shield.
Oh, sure.
And I'm just having fun there. I mean, no one I know is gonna pick that apart. Paint one, play them all.
Mm-hmm. So I agree. I think they're for the most part interchangeable model wise. Definitely post below. So you're getting a lot of mileage out of these, and it'll be interesting with all of these. So almost all the factions have these huge array of options here. So it'll be interesting to see if something gets drilled down if every Greek player is a Spartan player that does a certain thing or not. From what I see, I think you'll have a lot of options here. That won't necessarily be better or worse, which I think is cool because in the Viking Age Crusade, there is kind of, once you figure out the one list, maybe you can switch out one unit or something. But for the most part, the list is the list. So I think they're trying to offer more variety here, which is cool.
Yeah.
So,
listening to your cover of these guys, the fact that it has gone so long over just the very first board, I think like if you're in your little meta that, you have a couple players who love that period of history and the stories and the wars, you could literally just, you and your buddies, if you love it, you could just battle Greek city-states. And I'm trying to imagine like how just that would be, like different flavors of Greeks fighting it out in Saga.
Peloponnesian War, baby.
Yeah, there you go. And maybe that's why it lasted for 24, 25 years, right? Couldn't get you kept running into an impassable wall.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we're going to have fun with the Greeks. Monty, let's move on to the Persians here. So
Yeah. So
give us your hot take here.
Right. So again, leaning into this, like how much do you get out of this book? Of course, the Persians come in two flavors. You've got your median Persians, who more or less represent the period of, say, Cyrus the Great to Xerxes. And you've got I'm going to pronounce this wrong here, Achaemenid Persians. Who's more like the reign of Darius. So very different flavors. The medians, a nice mix of mounted. But I got to say, just my hot take is the Achaemenid Persians. You get the very cool scythe chariots. I mean, who doesn't want to run a chariot of death, right?
Just more options there.
Auto hits. Come on. And also they get the elephant. So just right there, I kind of again, love the elephant, love the scythe chariot. Put those two things together, and I think you have a pretty visually stunning war band.
So let's pop to this scythe chariot here. So
right.
You can recruit 2 scythe chariots for 1 point, or you could swap out some Hearthguard or warriors just to get 1. It's a single figure unit. It doesn't generate any Saga die. It's armor 3 in melee, 6 against shooting. It's got a lot of special rules here. It's a chariot, can't go in terrain. It's automatically destroyed in a melee, so the armor doesn't really matter because it's going to be destroyed.
Right.
During step 1 of a melee, which is scythe chariot, has no fatigue and is completed a charge activation to become the attacker, and inflicts automatic hits equal to the number of figures present in the enemy unit, or half that if they're mounted. So, this is meant for slamming into that big Theban. There you go, Monty. They had the right idea.
Yep.
It's uncontrollable, so they count as mercenaries, and they don't inflict fatigues on friendlies when they die because they're going to die.
Exactly.
Counts as 6 levies, so it's 3 massacre points when it dies. And I could definitely see taking one of these.
Yeah,
Monty,
why not? Why not? But counterpoint, I want to sneak this in because, on first, when you're hearing, oh my gosh, auto hits equal to the number of figures. So here's the deal, like the little caveat in there was unfatigued, and it has to be during my turn. Like if you hit it in my turn, it's not going to do the auto hits. And if I double move it, it's not going to do the auto hits. So you essentially have to leave a unit within charge range so that when your opponent's turn comes with a scythe chariot, he can charge it in full speed and get those auto hits. Mm-hmm. But still, awesome unit. And it's going to create some static, like what I just said. Like if I'm playing against the scythe chariot, I'm like, okay, where's the scythe chariot? And what's I'm 13 inches away from it.
Yes, it's going to create some tense moments early in the game. I mean, because if you engage it with one levy model, all you have to do is engage it. So
exactly.
It's going to be destroyed. It doesn't matter if you get exhausted, if you have no attacks. When you get there, it will be destroyed.
Correct.
So we've got the side chariot. We've got plenty of equipment options. We've got combined formation, Monty.
Yes, whole different thing. I'll jump in there real quick. So what you do, and again, hot takes. I mean, it's like this is just right off the press, but you combine basically like what they would call shield bearers with your shooters. So it's a unique mix of ranged troops. They suffer no armor reduction for the bow, but their move and charge distance drops to S. And despite being equipped with ranged weapons, units in combined formations can close ranks. So essentially what they're trying to do is they're like, the Persians had the front rank, the shield bearers, the guys behind them with the bows. And so now you can paint and play combined formation units. And so they recommend that a combined formation unit is an equal mix of archer and shield-bearing figures. Doesn't really have an in-game effect, but that's like the visual representation to, make it stand out to your opponent. That's a combined arms formation.
Yeah, so the medians, that's like what they use exclusively. But for the Achaemenids, you can take just like regular warriors too. So you would want to, make them distinct visually for your opponent. So yeah, they have normal shooting aggression. They have normal armor, and it's interesting. There's actually a Hearthguard and warrior versions, so they'd be armor 4 or 5. They have the movement and charge ding. The other ding is their melee aggression is half of what it should be. So melee.
Oh, right.
So the Hearthguard combined formation, they only generate 1 attack each, and then so unit of 8 will only have 4 attacks. So, everything being even, I think it's cool. I haven't really looked at the battle board. I'm sure, the flavor there will support one or the other, depending on what you like. But Monty, that's not all. We've got mercenary hoplites.
Right.
Just a little side box here. So I don't know. These guys shouldn't be. These are better than the hoplites the Greeks get, Monty. It's not fair.
It did strike me. That did strike me, Rodge.
Yes, I think it's kind of meant. They're so it's a merc unit, but it's part of the actual army construction. So if the event doesn't allow mercs, these would still be allowed. So these guys are armor 5 warriors essentially. So that's not bad. You can't go whole hog here. There's some restrictions on them, but you could get multiple units if you wanted, I think, fairly easily. And they're getting armor 5 warriors. What's not to love? But I guess not being able to use Saga battle board abilities is kind of an issue. But another option. So the famous 10,000 Greek mercs are represented here. Monty, how does the battle board play for these guys? I haven't looked. I'm assuming there's some shooting here. Is it a shooting board or what is?
I would say it's a very interesting mix. I feel like it's combined arms but leans into shooting.
Okay.
So you've got some good melee abilities. You've got some order reactions. You've got some activations in here. But here's the one to really drill down to one. The one ability your opponent's going to wish they could just cancel or cover up is called one volley after another. And it requires either a common or a rare. It's a shooting ability for units equipped with bows. So it'll be your bow or your combined arms. So here we go. After resolving the shooting attack, activate your unit to shoot the same target again. That's pretty good. So you get a shoot, and you get another shoot. If you use a rare, repeat this process one more time, and this time with 2 bonus attacks. And here's the kicker, right? That's you got shot, you got shot again, you got shot a 3rd time with a rare. At the end of all these activations, remove a fatigue from your unit. It's like beep, 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 beep. They're blocking out the sun with their arrows.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like we said, so you can take Hearthguard in the combined formation, so they can generate the 8 attack dice to start with, which the warriors and levies can't do. So if you want to really lean into this, it's definitely an option. Oh man, that's so funny. This is a good one.
Oh, ouch.
Oh, awesome. Well,
Oh, and before we go,
yep,
just
yep,
a
yep.
hot thought, right? Is, really, we could do a whole show on sourcing, but I think, again, we got to just say their name. We're going to hear it a lot. Victrix does Persians. It's a affordable option. If you don't hate plastics, they have the Persians covered with some really lovely models and many other makers for the metal versions.
Yeah, I think definitely popular range. All right. I think the Thracians are not going to
Oh,
in the book,
yes.
but I'll,
Oh, we should jump to you.
yeah,
Yes, yes.
we'll take my turn here.
Yep, yep,
So the Macedonians
yep.
come next. And so this is probably the most like normal kind of fact. They don't have, there's only one version of the Macedonian. The successors are split into their own thing here. So they've got the Sarissa phalanxes, and they can take just like a non-Sarissa Hearthguard phalanx too, just a single unit of those to represent the Hispatists, I think is Hypaspists. Yeah, so they have all the stuff that you'd imagine. Got some shooting, a little bit of everything. And their battle board, I would say, it's kind of normal. I think it's normal up top. Let me bring it here.
Yep.
It's kind of it's a combined arms board here, and I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, that's kind of one of the trickiest boards to create in Saga. I think getting it just right is tricky because it just kind of naturally cuts down on synergies, which is where boards get their strengths. But I think they do a pretty darn good job here of making you want to take a little bit of everything, which is kind of how it rolled, with Alexander. You had the Cav, they had his skirmishers up front, the big Sarissa phalanxes. Definitely you want a unit of that companion Cav, Monty. I think you're going to want to take that. So there's two abilities here that use a rare. I'm going to talk about Pride of the Companions. It's a melee. You can use a uncommon or rare. Your unit gains resilience 1. After casualties have been removed, remove all your unit's fatigues except 1. If you use a rare, you can remove all your fatigues.
Wow. I like that.
So I think casualties are removed before the end of the combat. There might be an order thing here, but basically you can absorb 3 hits for free. And if you use a rare, you basically absorb them 3 hits for free, and there's no penalty, no consequence to it. I will talk about Zeisten. This is a mounted unit, also a rare. Just add +1 to your attack dice. So on other boards, it's usually a 2-die ability to get a +1 to your dice. And then if you're fighting a unit that isn't mounted, you get a +1 to your defense dice too. So
wow.
Your mounted Hearthguard, your warlords hanging nearby are going to be, this is a brutal.
Yes.
You want to take these guys, you can keep them alive.
Yes.
You're gonna be happy you took those. So they hit hard, and they are some nasty boys.
I love it. I love it a lot. This is good.
All right. Monty, why don't you jump down to or back up to our Thracian friends then?
Thracians. Okay. Well, first of all, who doesn't love guys who run around with, and again, pronunciation, you're going to have to forgive us. We didn't get a primer. Is it Rompia, the heavy weapon that cuts through, armor, shields. You're holding a shield, the rampia comes down, off comes your hand. I mean, they're horrible to look at, they're horrible to behold, and someone like me, my dream is to go into an event and have 48 rampia armed warriors, and go big, go home. It'll be very choppy and fun. So the Thracians they look wonderful. They got a couple things, so I'll start with the unique things. They have a thing called Authority of the Priest King, and it says Thracians are led by powerful priest kings. When your warlord uses his We Obey on a non-merc unit, you can choose to not activate them, but instead add a pillage marker to a unit or remove a pillage marker. And so then you scratch your head and you say pillage. So pillage is a unique and interesting add-on just for the Thracians. Apparently their love for plunder is such that's why this is in here. It says under pillage, a Thracian unit that wins in melee and whose opponent took at least one casualty during step 6 of the melee receives a pillage marker. You never get a pillage marker against levies because they're wretched and poor. But any other unit, if you win and you inflict one casualty, you get a pillage marker. And then once you have that pillage marker, it's going to interact with the battle board. It's very specifically shouted out: gain a pillage marker, use a pillage marker, unit that has one, unit that doesn't. So it really is kind of the driver for this unique Thracian warband.
Yeah, and so the Priest King, he can add or remove them, because on some of the, they got the pillage marker. You guys they're ready to go home. Yep. they're not motivated anymore, because they got their loot, and they're like, well, it's time to go. We're done here. So that's going to be key towards some of these abilities.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it is. It's important. He's the just in a little bit. A little bit like the way the Gauls have their fervor. So you've got pillage here, and you want to kind of modulate it. You want to control it. There are times when you want it, times when you don't want it. And so the Priest King being able to say, I'm taking this off you, I'm adding one here, just gives you that extra span of control when you go to interact with your battle board and your plans.
Absolutely. So what is something juicy here?
Oof, gosh. Well, so as you can imagine, this is a very choppy, war band. And there's a lot of good stuff. It's hard to just pick one out. I'm going to be very quick, so I'm going to pick two just because. Yep. So, of course, there's one on here, and literally the ability is called Rampia. Melee, unit with heavy weapon. You get on an uncommon or rare dice, you get 3 attack dice. That's kind of boring. But if you use a rare, you get 6. I like the idea of a 6-pack of warriors with heavy weapons picking up 6 dice and just chopping his way through your Greeks.
I love it.
Or anyone else. So that's easy peasy. Anyone understands that, right? So I will also add this. It's maybe not the top tier, but I still like it. It's an edge case and activation reaction. I always love activation reaction because it just, once you've played your opponent, they played this warband, it kind of gets in their head. So the ability is called Avarice, and the good news is you can use any die on it, so that's a big plus. Activation reaction, and it says trigger this after an enemy unit activates to rest, but before the activation is resolved. You can activate a unit without a pillage marker for a charge that targets the activated enemy unit, right? And if you use a rare, you get 4 bonus attack dice. So here's your buddy. His warlord's in a little bit of trouble, and he's like, okay, well, I'm going to just open with a rest here. And you're like, awesome, go ahead, rest. And in you can go with your heavy weapons and chop. So I think the result of Avarice, beyond the obvious result, is that every time your opponent wants to rest, he's going to have to look at the field. He's going to have to say, oh no, he's within range of 3 heavy weapon warriors, and I don't want to rest him. I don't want to do it. So anyway, so that's my 2 hot takes. The only small caveat I have with the Thracians, I look at this and I'm so excited, and then I think, oof, if I'm going to paint the Thracians properly, they require a lot of detailed. They're really elaborate, very beautiful clothes. And I'm like, why couldn't they just wear rags?
Yeah.
Browns and yellows, but no, they're really quite exquisite. So nice opportunity for our best painters.
Yeah. They look fun. It's one of those where, kind of like with the Gauls and Firmer, I have to play with it or against it a couple times to really figure out what the heck's going down. So let's move on. I'll do my last one, the successor troops. So this one is, I don't know, you could say it's the most complicated one, but you're going to choose two things. Which successor kingdom you're going for. So you can do, the Greeks, I think Antigonans, maybe those were in Greek, Asia, and Egypt. So depending on your kingdom there, that'll determine your equipment options. So the Asians will get scythe chariots, elephants. Is it all? Oh, yeah, it's kind of weird. They have base options, and then each region adds options. So it looks like the regions are very specific, but they're all in addition to the regular options. So, yeah, I think the Greek one is kind of like the Macedonian board, just a lot of different things. The Asian board, you can actually get, their elephants have armor, so they're kind of like cataphracts. So their armor is improved against shooting, but they're slower, which is cool. And then the Egyptians, they ended up kind of arming the locals in the Greco-Macedonian style. So this is the one where you can give the levies sarissas. They don't count as phalanxes, but they have sarissas, and they're the melee. I mean, they're melee levies, so we know they're going to be good, and you probably won't regret taking them. So that's kind of the flavor there. And then you're going to choose an ambition for your warlord. So you got legatum. You're defending Alexander's heritage. Hubris, you're fighting for personal glory. And divite, I'll pronounce it that way. They want to create their own kingdom. So those are the three things. So each one of these has its own symbol, like a little crown, a little laurel, and then a scroll. And then each of those, so whichever one you pick, 3 of the abilities on the battle board will get an extra boost if you use it. So, the hubris ones, for example, those are kind of melee, generally attack abilities. I think the divite are kind of attack ones as well. And then the legatum, those ones are more defensive or, kind of utility plays. But so you would look at your board and kind of see, which abilities you're fancying and kind of align your warlord to make those abilities even better. So up top, they don't have activation pool. They do have an activation pool like ability called Stratego. So that's the 10th ability. So it kind of makes it nice and even and round. But they have Alexander's heirs. Choose one of your inactive Saga dice and change its face to a rare. So you have one. And actually, this Strategos, this is an order's reaction, Monty. So your activation pool is on the other guy's turn. Interesting.
Okay.
So you can get whatever, you can turn any die into a rare. And this is, I've never seen a board like this. All 10 abilities can be activated with a rare.
Yep.
And I think most of them are better with a rare. Some of them aren't. Some require 2 die. So, yeah, this is kind of bonkers here.
Yep.
There's 2 abilities where you do need a rare, but otherwise it's not required. It's not quite like the Byzantine board where some of the abilities are expensive and you need the rare.
Yep.
I don't think that's quite the same thing going on here. I want to talk about the Conquerors. This is a rare melee ability. You can reroll any of your attack dice, which don't score hits. Love it. Love it.
Yep.
if you have a hubris ambition, after this reroll, you may change the result of up to 3 dice to 6.
Ooh.
So you turn the 6. Say you roll your dice. You set your hits aside. You pick them up. You roll them again. You can set your hits aside. If there's any you didn't hit, turn those into 6. It's 3 chances to get them through. And you change it to a 6. So going against a warlord or Hearthguard or something. Oh,
Elephant.
Man. Oh, man. Yeah, it's essentially auto hits, but you are kind of capped at your dice there. So that's an example of what choosing the hubris ambition can do for you, Monty. Why wouldn't you?
Very juicy.
Yeah.
This is super intriguing. Like you said, it's like some of these mechanics, like pillage, you want to see it kind of play out. But on the other hand, there is so much variability under the successor's hood here. You could pick this one, dive in, and maybe not come out for a year and a half, right? Just trying to try the different flavors. You've got, Egyptian, you've got Greece, you've got, different motivations, ambitions, builds. Yeah, looks like a lot of variability here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would say overall play style, it's probably not as quite as combined arms as the Macedonian board. There is some movement stuff here, but primarily just melee focus for the most part. So, yeah, that is our faction. Oh no, you got the Indians. Wow,
we do.
The Indians out. And oh boy, this is going to be fun.
I know I may need a little help on this one. There is a lot to chew on here. How do you want to break this one down, sir?
Well, just dive in and I'll try to help you as I can here, Monty.
Okay, maybe I will start at the top. Gosh, this is just fascinating. Again, I really wish I had a primer in pronunciations. So they have a category, and this will be up at your basic top line saga abilities, and they call it Chaturanga.
Yeah, I think Chaturanga.
Chaturanga, thank you.
If I'm going to guess.
Right. The idea is the art of war and complex formations. So up at the top, there are a couple abilities. They're orders/tactics, and you can put dice in there, and it's going to matter during your turn because it's kind of a broad effect. Like the first one, Varja, your units can reroll 1 attack and 1 defense die during each melee and shooting attack. That's a pretty big deal. It is 2 dice. It is a uncommon and a rare, and the other one, Padma, orders tactics. The range of your bow and composite bow is increased by S. So that's very unusual, and that's sitting up at the top, and that is referred to as Chaturanga. Mm-hmm. And that just opens the door.
Yeah. So do those just kind of sit there, and they kind of, your dice are allocated, and as long as those dice are there, they do their effect. Okay.
Exactly. And it seems pretty clear to me, right? Just in the quick pass. The first one could be used during, it's orders tactics. Okay, the first one looks like it's your turn or your opponent's turn, but the other one, what would be the point of putting that up during your opponent's turn? It's range of bow, so that's just your turn for sure.
Okay. Yeah, so that takes up 3 spots.
Yep.
So you've got the other 2 spots are your activation ones, and it's interesting. So the regular activate on a unit is basically uncommon and a rare. So just kind of everything being even, your warriors are harder to activate. The Gaja is Hearthguards, elephants, or a hero, which is all die. But there's some activation stuff here. 2 commons, you can activate up to 3 units of Hearthguards, warriors, levies, or elephants to move. So they have fun stuff, Monty.
They have a lot.
got-
They have so much. What do you want? Like the short version is, what do you want? Okay, go shopping. So maybe I'll start. I'll start with the Warlord because there's 3 varieties.
Yeah.
And maybe throw it back to you. So like, oh, you're Warlord on foot. Yep, you got that. How about Raja on heavy chariot?
Yeah, they got the Rodge. The Rodge
The Raj on a heavy
finally
chariot.
made me a model.
Oh my gosh, his aggression is 12/4, 12 melee, 4 shooting. And I have to now drill down to like the special heavy chariot rules. You can equip your warlord with a heavy chariot. He gets the following advantages and disadvantages. He gets mount, so he's going to be speedy. He loses bodyguards. That is a hit, but still. The Raj counts uneven and dangerous territory as being impossible. That's standard for chariots. His aggression on a chariot is 12 when he's the attacker, 4 when he's the defender. And when he charges, he gets 1 auto hit on the enemy.
Yeah, that's
Yikes.
awesome.
Yikes.
So when he's on the elephant,
Oh, geez.
even better.
Elephant.
So he gets, I think, just all the elephant stuff. His armor is 5 in melee, 4 against shooting. Aggression is 10 in melee, 3 for shooting. He has a composite bow.
Nice.
He's got resilience 3. He still has we obey, and he doesn't have bodyguards, but he's got determination, we obey. He's awesome.
Yes.
He has a downside though. He counts as 2 heroes when calculating victory points. So I think a hero's 4, goes to 8 plus 1 for a unit destroyed. So he's worth 9 victory points.
Cha-ching.
When he goes down. So, and it's tough to kill an elephant in the Indian army here, Monty. There's a couple of abilities here.
Yes.
So you can last a few different attacks.
Is now the time to mention that he is not resilience 1. He's not resilience 2. He's resilience 3.
Yeah. You can't get him on the first swing.
No.
You can't do it. And actually, I guess the other downside, it costs you a point too. So he counts.
Oh, yes, he does. He does. So
he
he's a
costs a
hammer. Yeah, he's a hammer, but with a price.
So fun stuff. I'll get working on that right away. The other thing is the light chariots. So these are warriors are on the light chariots, Hearthguards on the heavy. So the heavy are the close combat chariots that the Carthaginians get, essentially. And the light chariots are the shooter ones, like I said. So armor 3 in melee, 4 against shooting. Every 2 warriors is upgraded into a chariot, I believe, is what it is. Let me go back here. The aggression is 1, so it's less. When you do the math there, if you get into melee, your armor's crap and your aggression is less. Yeah, 1 point gets you 4 chariots. Their shooting aggression is 2, however, so you are getting more firepower. 8 warriors would typically have 4 shooting dice, and the chariots here will have 8 shooting dice. So you'll cap out on a unit of 4 to begin with. They have composite bows, and I think these are gonna be good. They do have resilience 1, so even though they're weaker, I mean, they're still absorb some. You got to spend some effort trying to take these dudes out.
Right.
And with there's that Orders of Tactics ability, you can jack up the range on the composite bow.
Exactly.
By short, so 10 inch, not a full. I think you'll definitely want to take a unit or 2 of those guys.
I think so.
And there's various. What's the flavor of the board, Monty? Is it shooting?
So, this is tricky. It certainly has shooting elements, but I kind of, as I look at this, I feel like it kind of leans into its hammer units. So it really likes its elephants, and its heavy chariots can be their superstars. And just to kind of like pull that thread out a little better, we talked about how tough just on paper the Rodge on the elephant is, well, why don't we add just a couple things here? So we've got here Dynasties of the Rodge. This is a common and a rare, and it's units with resilience. So that'll be your chariots, and that'll be your elephants, and that would also be your warlord. And it says, after this melee is resolved, remove a fatigue from your unit. So you talked about it before, the efficiency of pushing hits into resilience, and then you turn around and you take that resilience fatigue away. And with a rare, you take 2 fatigues away. So like that Rodge on an elephant takes 6 hits, and then he plays this, and he's like, yeah, I don't take any fatigue from those 6 hits. Thank you. Thanks for playing.
Thank you very much.
Right. And if that wasn't quite enough, again, not to pick on the Rodge and the elephant, just elephants, reinforced armor. Now, this one is a melee ability specifically for elephants. They love their elephants. And it will be an uncommon or a rare. And it says, after rolling your defensive dice, cancel casualties equal to your resilience. And if you used a rare, increase your resilience by 1. I'll just leave that out there.
Resilience 4. And he cancels 4 hits after you roll your defense die. I'll charge that guy into the 18 pack
Exactly.
of Thebans. I'll do some damage. You can't take me down. Oh, man.
I mean, I'm just having a little fun here. And again, we got to, like, once you get to the table and you know what the cost is, it'll be a little different. But I can imagine, like, the Rodge and an elephant rolls up, looks at his army and goes, guys, just stay put. I got this. And he rolls forward. Like an Anglo-Dane warlord with a bard. He's just a wrecking ball.
Exactly. Oh, man. That'll be fun. I don't think that... Is it going to be tough getting models for these guys, Monty? Do you know anybody offhand? There aren't really any plastics. You're going to want a lot of chariots. This could be a pretty labor-intensive faction to try to get a hold of.
Yes. So absolutely there are. And I gotta give this just a little thought. And since this is a hot take and this is the one part, I'm working off of memory here. There is a line you can get in the U.S. I think you got to go through their Facebook page to order. Vendel Miniatures would have figures for this era for Indian Warband, and also I believe that First Corps does a line. You might actually just double triple check, punch in 28 millimeter Ancient Indians and just see what comes up. But there's at least I believe 3 and maybe others, but there is I think some robust lines out there for this, and they'll be in metal. I don't think they come in plastic. Yep.
Just one little downside bit.
Yeah, or an upside if you're a metal.
You're the opponent, yeah.
I don't like assembly, so let's just get on with it.
I definitely you could see. 2 units of 4 warrior chariots, 1 or 2 units of the heavy chariots. You could 9, 10, 11 chariots, an elephant. Like your entire army could have resilience. I mean, there's nothing you could just.
Right.
I mean, that would be 4 units of 4 chariots, 2 elephants. That would be it.
I could see my opponent parking a lot of units in terrain. They don't want to be like, okay, we're going to just hide here.
Yeah, but if they're just shooting you,
right,
come out and play.
I gotta say, just some really fast thoughts. Number one, some gorgeous painting and modeling opportunities. The bright colors of the Persians, the model choices, obviously the color of the Indian elephants, the chariots bright and punchy and lovely, the Thracians, the Greeks, we know what they bring, but you get into the Macedonians, you get into the successors. People do fancy stuff with the linothorax and the colors and the sarissas, and just this should just be fun and beautiful to look at.
Yeah, a lot of
That's
color
before
here
we even play, before we even roll the dice.
Compared to the drab Dark Age forces. So to round it out, they do have ruses, and each faction has its own specific ruses. We won't get into any of those at this time. They have the most extensive mercenary choice to date. There's 16, I think 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 merc choices here.
Oh my gosh.
So I think the other ones have 11 or 12 or 13 maybe. Yeah, so not many more. Yeah, but so some of these are repeat. We got the Cretan archers. I know the Tarentine Cav are repeats. The Rakatai, the Rioforai, I think are repeats. Why don't we just pick one? We got camel riders, Monty. This is where the camels are. I don't think, is there like in the Persians or anything camels? I don't think so. There could be some camels mixed into one of those.
Yes.
There's so many equipment options we couldn't even really go over them. So there could be a camel nestled in there, but it might just be these camel rider mercs. They're 8 warriors on camels, equipped with composite bows, armor 4 in melee and shooting regardless. They're on a stable platform, the camel is, apparently. So they get 2 bonus attack dice during each melee and shooting attack, as long as you have 4 figures. And then during a shooting attack, you can reroll any attack dice, which don't score a hit. They've got determination, so we love. We just had the merc discussion. You want your mercs to be self-sufficient if they can. And then they can make a free maneuver after deployment, but before the first turn. So I think these could be fun. Monty, camel riders, who can take them?
Yeah.
Can the Indians take the camel riders? They cannot take the camel riders, so you can't jack up. Their Persians can take them, and then the Asian and Egyptian successor states. So these could be the only camels in the book, but yeah, I think this is good. They're going to be fast. They're going to be, if cavalry want to hunt them down, they're going to take a -1 to hit. So it's not going to be a no-brainer going after these guys. I like it. Any of these mercs here catching your eye, Monty? Anything new?
Right. I have one. I have to grab it only because, number one, I didn't get a deep dive into the mercs. I got to confess. But number two, I love the Galatians. I love the story of the Gauls. They invaded Greece. They were creating all sorts of trouble. And then eventually somehow they settled in an area, I think, where no one else wanted to live. They were put up on a high plains called Galatia. And then the other thing I love about them is I believe the Greek historians insisted that they fought nude, which is a whole nother controversy, but modeling opportunities. So the Galatians, they contain 8 warriors, either mounted on horse or on foot. And they have, here's their key abilities. Fury. During each player's turn, the Galatians' first charge activation is a free activation. Also, they get 4 bonus attack dice in melee. Obviously, they're angry, they're choppy. After rolling their attack dice, they can re-roll a number of dice that didn't score hits. That number is equal to the enemy unit's armor. So you're going after the Warlord or Hearthguard. You whiff your roll, pick up 5 dice, roll them.
Try it again,
Right? Now, there is one little bite them in the ass thing here, and I'll go to that one. Battle Oaths. This might also go into the issue of why you might not want to fight nude. It says Galatians cannot close ranks in melee or gain defensive dice. In melee, for each 1 on their attack dice, the Galatians' opponent inflicts an extra auto hit. So if your buddy has really terrible dice and he's fighting the Galatians, it's a fistful of 1s, well, that's kind of bad. That's coming back on you.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, very, very brutal unit here, but I'm loving it. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff here.
There's a lot of stuff.
To round it out, we got it's called the Diadokos. It's a campaign during the Diadochi, which is the greatest soap opera ever told, right, Monty?
It's true. It's true.
It's a campaign for 4 players exactly. and you are all successor players. And there's a little blurb here. For transparency's sake, it seems only fair to warn you that this campaign system is complex to set up and requires an extensive figure collection.
Oh.
In turn, that means it's certainly better suited to a gaming club or organized group at a convention, but they think it's worth the ritual rewards and investments. And there is another little blurb here. It's inspired by the excellent war game Successors by Richard H. Berg and Mark.
I've played that. I played that. It's awesome game.
You know, it's got different versions published here, and they say they're standing on the shoulder of giants. So I'm guessing probably some of the mechanics and stuff from that game are probably worked into this campaign here. I'm not familiar with it. Maybe next time you can take a closer look and see if it compares to. I mean, because you could see. A good campaign could be like a board game where you just, instead of rolling the die, roll a d6 to resolve the battle.
Yep.
You fight it out. So, I mean, there's, I think, 6 different phases here. There's multiple charts and conclusions here. Yeah. There's appendixes of provinces and traits. And another chart here with different regions here. Another appendix of local troops and an events appendix, plots appendix, maneuvers appendix. If you got 4 super dedicated players, which, Monty, come on. Saga players, of course, were super dedicated.
Yep.
You're going to have, you could have a fun little campaign here.
Yeah.
That's funny. We actually got 4. I'd say the core Saga group where I live is 4 guys. So maybe I'll see if I can get it going here.
Right.
But super specific, but yeah, looks fun.
Yeah. Awesome. Wow.
All right.
Wow.
It's a whopper of a bug. So
it is.
Yeah, we just got the docs from Alex. We just kind of skimmed everything. There's so much to dig into, and so much you have to play games to figure out.
Agree.
Do you like that or not? Is that over the top or not? But there's a lot there to kind of lick your lips and get excited about for sure. And I think, just first glance, I think it's a good match for Hannibal. Can't wait for Age of Caesars. Probably not anytime soon, but we've got a full 12 factions for the Ancient Age, so that's very cool.
Yep. Yeah, and for what it's worth, I mean, you guys know this probably, but these all have been extensively play tested, and I know at least one of the play testers was just telling me how much fun he was having with different matchups and boards. So you look at it, you're right. You hear some of the stuff, you're like, oh my gosh, yeah. Bring it to the table. It all has to be played out. There's careful weighing. There's
Yeah.
Anyways, it all seems to work out in the end. There's a scissors to every paper, and there's a stone to the whatever stone is better than.
Yeah, looking at it, I don't. Power creep, power level. I don't really see. We just pulled out the juiciest,
exactly
hot stuff that makes us smile and giggle. So. If you look at any faction, they probably have an ability that'll get a reaction out of you like that. So, very cool. Thanks to Alex for sending the copy over to us, and we can't wait to pick up our hands on it. Model-wise, Monty, are you going to be building something here? I never really jumped into Hannibal proper. I still got the Numidian Horsemen.
Yep.
In the bag. I just recently assembled the Gauls you gave me, so thank you for those, buddy. So my Carthaginians are officially being assembled. Are you gonna jump into? Have you made a purchase already? Let me ask you that.
I have not. I've kind of been winding my way through some projects here, but for sure, I really do love metals, so the metal models really are kind of determinative. The Indian Army has so much color and flavor and variety. It would be kind of like many of these, a visual feast. And I That would be an easy place to jump in. I love the idea of the Thracians. I don't know if I love the idea of painting, like trying to do historically correct all the cloaks and the robes, and they're so exquisite. And I'm like, oof. But I love the idea of all those heavy weapons. That could just be a blast. If I could find a way to like speed paint some effect that I'm happy with, the Thracians just seem like a lot of fun too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it sounds cool. I could see myself probably doing like a Macedonian.
Yes.
Because you can do it as successors, and it's 2 boards, 4 different lists.
Yeah. Play it forward,
exponentially,
play it
4 different, 3 different warlords, and I don't.
Awesome.
I think you can have a lot of fun there. A lot of plastics available for those goodies. The Greeks, obviously plastics available there. The plate style, probably, I don't know. I'm not overly defensive in my play style preference. So it's probably not for me, but I could see folks getting into those be probably the easiest one to get and paint up. Do a box of Victrix, Greek phalanx warriors. You good? You can. I don't think you need any horsemen or levies or anything with that warband. And then once you have that, then you're already a third of the way through the Persian army with the mercenary hoplites option. And that, I can see a lot of overlap here. So I'm pretty jacked about it. And I think it's good, solid release. Thumbs up here from the Rodge. And so I'm sure we'll be talking about this book more in the future, but we'll cut it off there for today. But we're not done.
That's right. We've only just begun.
Well,
just like the song.
We've got a paint contest. So we do paint contests every quarter, sponsored by Gripping Beast, of course. Love those guys. I'm sure they'll have some models for use in Age of Alexander, I would imagine. So this quarter, we're going to paint Levy, Monty. So if you were following the order, we started with the Warlord, Hearthguard Warriors. Now we're down to the Levy. And this is coming out early, so everyone's got extra time to paint those Levy. Isn't that great how that works out? And so you will have until, we're going to say, Sunday, October 30th at midnight is the deadline to get your models in. So you need to take a before picture in front of the screen right now. Let's give out our thumbs down here, Monty. Boo, no good. And take your pick in front of there, the before. They can be primed, maybe slightly done, whatever. But they should essentially be unfinished, and we want you to finish them. And you'll post that in the Discord server, and you will post your finished pictures afterwards. And we will review them. We'll give our takes on your models, give you some feedback. We'll choose a random person. They're going to get a free box set from Gripping Beast. And their favorite, as decided by us through arcane criteria, only the two of us know, will get a favorite pick. And you'll get that Thirsty Thursday pint glass. Limited edition. Monty, I'm bringing yours next week, buddy.
Yes.
We're recording this before Saga Storm. And I'll have the full rules below. And paint up some levy. It's got to be the 12. We're looking for a point. Not just a unit of levies, Monty. A point of levies. And so if you're doing we're not doing counts as levies either. You can't paint up the Roman ballista a war machine or anything. Pure levies. Come on, guys. We're going to paint the models this time. So yeah, come on in. It's a whole lot of fun. Free to enter. Hopefully the large number of models doesn't throw people off, but I think it's a good opportunity. Give you some extra motivation to get that stuff done. So thanks again to Gripping Beast for sponsoring that. It's the last one of the year, technically speaking. And what else we got? Monty, we got the head on over to the Saga Thursday Patreon link below. We're actually getting pretty darn close to the next goal.
Wow.
Which is a podcast version. So I got to figure out how to do that. I mean, I did it before, but now I've forgotten everything. And so I'll have to figure out how to do it again. And then after that actually is the 4th episode of the month. So it's definitely possible that we get there before the end of the year. And otherwise, head on over to the Saga Thursday Discord server. We're up to 600 members, Monty. Link is below. You're missing out if you're not on there. I'll tell you that.
It's very active. It is the place to be. Mm-hmm. Hobby, tactics, tips, after-action reports, how to build, what to build, models. It's all there. Great community.
Absolutely. And yeah, don't want to miss out on thanking my patrons here. So Terry, Patrick, Sean, Mitchell, Kevin, and Scott. Big thanks to you guys on those upper tiers there. But everybody listed below is helping make all these episodes possible, and I couldn't do it without you guys. Thank you very much. And we do have some new episodes coming out. Byzantines, Monty.
Nice.
Faction review with Daniil from the UK. That will come out October 6th. That one. And then the following episode is going to be a fun one. I'm talking with Fred from Sweden about Age of Magic mercenaries that he created. And that's going to be a fun one to go through. I haven't had an Age of Magic update for a while. So I think these mercs, we chat about them, have some fun. It's a new way to spice up your Age of Magic games, Monty. So that'll be a fun one. And that'll be it for October. You can go ahead and comment below. You can ask questions about the book. We may or may not respond or to divulge an overly large number of details, but the book will be out soon from what I understand, so you won't have long to wait. And yeah, I'm pumped. I want to know what's looking good to you folks at home if you're already started building. You know, this one has been rumored for a while. I think we did know the factions. I think those were spilled previously. So maybe some of you guys are ahead of the game on your armies being built. But yeah, let us know. I'll be curious to see which one of these factions trips your trigger. And I think that'll be it. So Monty, thanks again. We're doing a special recording session here out of the normal, so I couldn't do it without you, buddy.
It's a good one. I mean, coffee saga. We haven't done that before.
Yeah, it's morning time here, and usually it's evening. So, all right. Well, we're going to call it there. Thanks again, everybody, seriously, for contributing, helping out, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Saga!
If you'd like to see more Saga content, consider joining the Heathen Army over on Patreon, or popping on down to the Saga Thursday Discord server. Links below. Thanks, guys.